Welcome back, friends. This is our April 2025 tour. Mostly fruits and vegetables, a little other landscaping in here for you. Sorry it took so long to get back making videos. I was in a car accident in late March. It's been about a month. Back issues. Kept up with this as much as possible, but videos were out of the question between the injury and dealing with all the other stuff you have to deal with after a collision. You know how that goes. If you've been in one, it's all I could do to mow the grass. We did plant some stuff. Anyway, let's start the tour in the West Garden. Over here is our lettuce stand, platform garden. See our cool watering system. These are some Oya stakes, terracotta stakes. And then Oyas are embedded in these pots, subterranean Oyas. Just keep them full and they'll evaporate that water and keep your soil nice and moist. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variety of lettuce in here. Makes a great salad. We also have some mustard green going. Somebody's been chewing on that one, I see. A little bit of pressure in here, but not much, except for the brassicas. Something's eating that OS cabbage, all the pieces, chewer. And then we got cabbage worms too. So that's going to get pulled. But that's the only heavy damage we have in the platform garden. Down here, the herbs pick up. Well, there is a cilantro over there. That's a store-bought. Lavender here is store-bought. These are carrots, not herbs, but it's a little bag of carrots here, about 18 carrots in there. Garlic, that's our garlic. Gosh, that stuff goes back years, probably half a decade. This is a barrel of herbs. Everything but the English thyme is ours. Basil, dill, green onion. Same thing for this one. The sage is store-bought. Green onion, dill, basil is our own stock of seed. The shallots, of course, you get your shallots from the store. Although I have more in another location. Looks like it's going to seed, so I'm probably going to try to save some of that. Now back in the raised bed area, we have some more brassies, nice stonehead cabbage rolling, two broccolis. They're really cool. That soil is very sandy. It stays dry. So I've got Oya stakes in there to keep that water running, and they're loving it over there. And then our big 4x8 collard greens and garlic. Those are great companion plants. I just read about it. I thought, I can do that. So there's 86 garlic in there and a dozen collards. Only 11 made it. Something happened to one. That's okay. Just wasn't a healthy plant. We've been eating collard greens as well. Salads, of course. We've been eating collard greens and salads the entire month of April, even back into March. So this area so far is doing pretty good. We have to wait to see what happens with these shallots. They're okay. I'm just wondering what's under there. We shall see. So let's head over to the north bed. This is the original bed. That bed there goes back to spring 2004. So this is the original bed. Of course, it didn't look like this back then. I've got it all crossed up, got a nice cross in there, and put some stone, made 4 primary beds, but that one's broken into 3. And the one in the left corner, which is due north, has a little cubby bed as well. So 4 plus 3 more is really 7 little spots in here. Now over here, looks a little trashy, but actually I left it like that on purpose to keep the subterranean life rolling, worms and microbial life. When I'm ready to plant, I'll have cucumbers in here. Just one hill, put 2 cucumbers in there, in one hill. And at that point, I will rake out the trash, the clover and the violets and whatever else is in there. Now the cabbage over here, and I think I got a cauliflower. I think there's a cauliflower over there. They're not doing as well as the others. So it's probably from the weed competition. I'm not really sure. It could be the soil, could be the amount of sun. It's hard to tell. With a greenhouse right there, it actually lacks some sun it otherwise used to get. back in the day. Now behind this bed is a primary trellis. This is the old North Trench, if you've been around for 5 or 6 years. So instead of having all that space, I just have this 1 foot wide thing that runs about 6 foot, I guess. And then a little cubby bed here. This, of course, these are our peas. Not much, just, something to snack on when they come in. There's some carrots at the bottom. This little bed is full of volunteers. There are chamomile and pink amaranth in here, and then basil. Although technically the basil, I dropped some of that, so I don't know if it volunteered or is it some I dropped on purpose. Down on the end, that's Solomon seal. Used to have that lemon thyme in there. I decided just to get rid of the lemon thyme, and it was time for it to move on. That lemon thyme was 7 years old, seen its better days. And I threw that Solomon seal in there just to add some nice color. And actually right now, from this point of view, about right here, that Solomon seal is highlighted in the background by that big pink azalea that's been here since I got the house in '03. At that point, I'd say it's probably about 10 years old. So that thing goes back to the early 90s, at least. Looks really great right now. Now behind me, the true north, got a little bed back there. It's about 3 by 4, I guess. 3 brassies in there, an OS cabbage, a stonehead cabbage that's doing really well, and then a cauliflower that's doing really well. And then in the corner, you can see it's already set up, and there will be more beans in there. As soon as these peas are done, we'll start those beans. The first beans will start on these 4 poles over here. So we'll have beans hooking around like that, cucumbers, and then this is a cucumber cage. Horseshoe this way. That way you can come in the back if you need, grab your stuff. Boom, boom. This is actually tatsoi that reseeded itself. There's about 3 plants in here. And then there's more chamomile. And it's full of mostly clover, left for the same reason. I just want to keep that soil alive. Once I pull all this stuff out, the grass, this is why we keep this open and clean of weeds. That is our mulch. We'll lay it right over the top. That's not going to suck up nitrogen. It's not deep enough to suck up nitrogen. I mean, maybe just a little bit off the top, but it will replace more than that little bit as it decays. So we're just going to keep mulching on top of this. And in fact, when this bed is done this year, I'm going to start composting right here, doing the Ruth Stout method. Yep. Then we don't have to worry about so much about weeds. You still keep the microbial life. One thing, worms, we'll see. Worms do like to have a lot of roots around. And behind is a hedge and 2 compost piles. And in front are these daylilies, which they're probably about 20 years old too. They bring up pollinators. We've got feather celosia that will come back in there. That will bring in pollinators. And then we have a wall of Rose of Sharon back here. Started with 2, and there's about 5 or 6 in there now. They'll bring in pollinators and also bring in your hummingbirds. Looks great when everything gets in bloom, and it will be coming soon. We'll see that later on these tours as we get further into spring and summer. Let's check out this bed over here. This is the east bed. This is the last bed I built. So here she goes. This is the east bed. I used to have chicken coop right here. Moved it, built a new one in the corner. That's part of the east as well. This hole from here over is the east garden. It's the biggest one by far. And this is the east bed. I put this trellis in. If you're OCD, this thing goes downhill. It's cockeyed. It's hard to get everything lined up. It'll drive you crazy. I messed with this thing for 3 hours one day and finally said, good enough. I'll try to fix it later, but I got other things to do than get this perfect this year. I'll put it to you this way. If I was selling the house, I'd take it down and take it to the road. Anyway, potatoes, I got 2 gold Yukons, 2 Pontiac red, 2 gold, and so forth. except I only have 11, so I miscounted my spuds. I don't know. But as you can see in here, these are 6 tomato plants off each post. And you see some grass clippings in there. There will be a lot more added. Every time I mow, this is going to get some till everything's covered. To keep this middle weed free as possible, just walk in there and grab my maters. In between the maters, I'm probably going to put eggplant. Do a little reading, refresh my memory, and I think I can drop eggplants in between those. This back trench here is mostly dill, great companion plant for nightshades, and there's also some sweet alyssum in there. This, clean up the rest of that trash and put in more sweet alyssum. So pretty much nightshade. But then when you go to the back, it's berry time. Starting with that 10-gallon barrel over there, that's raspberry. That particular azalea was beautiful 2 days ago, but it's past its peak. There is a video on that if you want to check it out. I'll link it there and down at the bottom. And then in the back, on the left, you see honeysuckle. Boysenberry, that's already bloomed, so it's ready to do its thing. It's got fruit on it. And elderberry. And then on the right side is a wall of elderberry. And in the foreground, you see there is blackberry. And of course, back over there in the corner is our chicken coop. Keep a pile of the floor with the manure and the pine shavings over there. And we mix that in with our compost, refresh the beds when needed. We're down to 3 chickens, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Goldie, the oldest of these 4, she died. Nothing got her. Anyway, we only got 3, but they were the only 3 laying eggs anyway, so didn't really change production that much. When we first started, we had 2 birds, 2 eggs a day for the most of the year. Golden comets. So having 3 a day is fine. That gives us about 21 dozen and a half a week, which is plenty for 2 people. And her and Chef Beth's mother, she lives with us. She probably eats more eggs than anybody. And then above it, that's a Granny Smith apple tree, which honestly, the squirrels get most of that, but we get our share too. That old thirds thing, you know, 3rd for disease, 3rd for the pest, and 3rd for you. If you want 1 tomato, plant 3. You know that rule. Anyway, let's head over here to the shed bed. This side, you know, this is the south side. You get the south bed and then the southeast bed, which we call the shed bed. The south bed we call the peony bed, sometimes a trellis bed. It's sitting right there, just that wall of white flowers that we'll see soon. Unfortunately not today because they just started blooming yesterday. And then down there, the southwest bed, we call that the patio bed. That's primarily a pollinator garden. Although we're going to try to run some watermelon in there again this year. We've grown watermelon and corn over there, but basically we converted it to a pollinator bed. And it's got a fig tree and a pink lady blueberry. But let's go check out the shed bed first. This was the 2nd bed I ever put in. And I got it to this structure just last year. Been messing around with this thing for over a decade. But this is the north trench. When I first made this, there was no topsoil, 0. I got a video on that too if you want to check that out. I'll put a link there and one in the bottom. You literally over here, when I was doing that video, you could just pick up that wet clay and make figures. I think I made a cat live while shooting the video. But it took a while. We've grown everything over here, beans, okra. You grow okra over here, it gets taller than the edge of this shed because of all that clay, all the mineral in there. But right now, it's about, let's see, 6 or 7 inches above all the topsoil I developed over the years, and it hits the clay. So this is the first year I've had it that deep above ground. We're gonna see what happens. And you can see more of my watering system in here. Each stake has another tomato. So we'll have 6 tomatoes in here and 6 in that north bed. And it's 8 Cherokee purple and 4 speckle Roman this year. And there's a wall of butter crunch. You got 4 head there. There's another head back in that east side. This tomato right there got beat up by the rain. 2 days in a row. It's also got a weird stem. That one's going to be a problem. This one, that's Cherokee purple. It's looking nice and healthy, nice and straight. Some Swiss chard. Got 2 Swiss chard in here. All this stuff that's about a foot tall. The fat leaves. This is all radish. We come over here and pull a radish or 2, and then get our lettuce and boom, make our salad. Well, you know, we'll add a carrot or whatever from the grocery store because our carrots aren't ready. If you look up in this front, there's 4 boxes there. In the first box, you see a lot of carrot, and then 4 corners, those are shallots. And then everything else is carrot, except for the next alliums you see there, those are garlic. There's 8 garlic in there, which is a good thing. And let's see, the back is just experimental. Things would grow in here last year and then die out. There's an old crabapple tree stump, and I think it's sucking the nitrogen. So, but there are radish in there, and some yellow mustard that came back. So that's looking pretty good. But I didn't want to put like a tomato or something in there. Although I might throw an okra in there as an experiment. It's just a little bit to see why not. And then that's a wall of tomatoes. There's a sunflower, hopefully, trying to peek its head out in the back there. A bunch more of this radish, carrots. And in the central bed, look at all these cages. You got 12 cages. These are paired up peppers. These are all, no, there's a banana pepper in there. No, that's mine. You have banana pepper, datil pepper, jalapeno. All from my seed. The front 2 cages look empty. But those are designated for shishito, which is also my seed. And then, just to make sure, I got pimentos and a cubanelle. Didn't have any cubanelle seed. I hadn't grown in a couple of years. So there'll be 2 and 2, but since the set's coming 3, we'll put another one in the wall each. So there'll be 3 peppers in this wall, and then 12 there. So we'll have 15 peppers in here. And you know, there's nothing super hot. I do have Tabasco started. That won't be over here. The datil's pretty warm, but it's not crazy hot. And then in the blocks, any empty block like that whole side, it's going to be more of that sweet alyssum. That's about it for the shed bed this year. See if we can't get that okra in there. I'd have to start another one of those. That guy's not going to make it. Well, he'll make it, but it's not going to be worth it. Watch me. I say that, I'll leave him in there. He'll be the best one. You just never know. Now, this is the south bed. All right, north-south runs like this. The back wall, those are peonies. And they're just now starting to bloom. In about 3 days, that'll be a whole white bunch of flowers, and it's just going to be a white wall of flowers. We'll probably put a short video up for you. There's a video on that too if you want to see it already. I'll leave that link if I can find the video. But that's real pretty. And in the foreground, this is where we incidentally built the strawberry patch. It used to just be a pile of brush and stuff. And I kind of framed it up, started strawberries a few years ago. And there's still some left. But they had intermixed. The native violet got in there. They looked real pretty, by the way, when they were blooming. So I decided to just leave this because that violet chokes out a lot of weeds. It's going to save me a lot of trouble trying to keep this bed up. We'll pick these strawberries, of course. Then I'm going to move them after season in the fall. I'm going to move them somewhere else. Not sure where yet, but I like the idea of just letting this be violets and peonies, and I don't have to mess with it at all. And in the corner, that's a blueberry. So the south bed, we don't really grow a whole lot that's edible other than strawberries and blueberries. All right, let's head over to this west bed and then we'll be done. All right, naturally we have a chainsaw rolling. This is the southwest garden, also known as the patio bed. So you got the peony bed, the patio bed, the shed bed. That's the south. And this is primarily pollinators. I did tuck a Solomon seal in. There's another peony over here, but we do have some fruits. This is a fig tree, There's another blueberry over there. That's a pink lady, pink blueberries. And in the middle, we will be trying to grow another sugar baby, watermelon. We've done that in the past in here. We get a lot of self-seeding going on. Zinnia, marigold, and feather celosia in particular. But you'll see I've got 3 cages out. That's where we planted stuff on purpose. One will be calengia and one will be a butterfly bush. And then the other 2, zinnia, feather celosia, zinnia, feather celosia. Trying to get it in certain areas this year, try to balance it out. Last year it was just a wall. I mean, you couldn't, no chance getting there and weed or anything. Which we do again. We have to get in there and weed this stuff. You know, I was in that car accident. There's only so much I could do. I had a messed up back, messed up neck, messed up car. That car's gone. Anyhow, we'll get to it and clean all that stuff out. Well, thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed that. That's our tour of the back anyway, April 2025. And, oh, take a look if you're new here. This is kept pretty much weed free. And every bit of this year will be going straight into my beds as mulch. You don't have to worry about eating up nitrogen unless you dig it in. It might eat up just a little bit off, you know, we're talking very, very small off the top. But it's going to drop and decay, and you just keep it stacked. Keep the weeds down once you get it built up. And then after that, when these beds go out of play this year, I'm composting right on top of them. I'm going roost out method. Try to cut back on dealing with weeds as much as possible. Just keep building that mulch up and then pull it back and plant inside of it. Of course, that will mess up the stuff over here that likes to come back, but that's not a concern compared to having to weed all the time. We're not getting any younger over here. Well, thanks again for hanging out. Subscribe if you're new, if you like this. Glad to have you if you want to join up. And drop some comments down there or say, hey, I just put a video out for a tour. Check it out, and I will. See you on the next one.